here in the final few moments of the trade. GameStop up 130%. $341.08 right now on GameStop.
Why?
The high of the day on the
It's
stock
a pump and dump.
380. The low at 249. It, as of the last few hours, has been pretty range bound in this region we're looking at right now. Again, GameStop only $342. And the movie theater chain up 285% on the day. 12 cents. This is a company, of course, that is near bankruptcy. BlackBerry shares up 31% on Bay Street at $31.35. This, of course, not without its risk. These companies like GameStop and AMC make no money at all. But many see this as the little guy finally winning one over on Wall Street. Bruce Campbell is with Campbell & Ross Investment Management.
There's a bit of power here that never there before. I think it goes on for a little while longer, and I'm not sure. Is there anything illegal about this? Like, what can the regulators do to stop it? That's a big question, and I'm not sure that they can stop it. It's not like. You're right. What you said is absolutely right. Everybody knows GameStop's not worth $25 billion. We're just having some fun trading here.
Meantime, the broader markets are sharply lower.
Just having some fun, okay? You're a weirdo, motherfucker. Somebody rented out a hotel up here, Jasper Lodge or something, for 9 weeks on Mystery Guest.
The Nasdaq's down 345 points, and at the corner of King and Bay, the TSX is down 357 to 17,421. Air Transat announcing plans to stop its southern flights out of Pearson Airport for the winter. All those all-inclusive flights to the Caribbean spread out of Pearson Airport by Air Transat for the winter months. Coming up on the close here, we got GameStop trading up to $345 right now. We'll let you know exactly where it closes in moments. Canadian dollar is lower at 78.07 cents US. This is 680 News.
In life, the most important question anyone could ever ask is, will you marry me?
Not. Are we alone in the universe?
Well,
Or how did the brain name itself?
Okay, point taken. The most important question anyone can ask when they're in love and want to be with that person forever is, will you marry me? Make sure it's a yes. With Spence Diamonds, Canada's engagement destination, with thousands of rings to choose from. Spence Diamonds, open for virtual appointments and curbside pickup.
Your head says, make sound investments for the future. But your heart says, invest in that new sound system right now.
That's the
Plus,
sound
from
system.
Scotiabank, we can help you
Run an
balance both.
investment.
So you can live for today and save for tomorrow. Working together, we'll build a plan and add investment solutions along the way. So, the plan that helps you invest for tomorrow can still sound fantastic today. Get started at scotiabank.com/investing. Advice Plus, only from Scotiabank.
Downtown Toronto, mainly sunny, wind chill reading of -9. 680 News is CFTR AM Toronto. It's 4 o'clock.
Toronto's #1 for breaking news.
Oh, you motherfucker, that
This is 680 News.
Good afternoon. It's Wednesday, January 27th. I'm James Monroe.
I'm Sultana Timmins. Here are the top stories right now.
Happening now, Revenge of the Nerds as the trading day comes to a close. The so-called Reddit rally has driven up stocks like GameStop, another 100+% today alone. Full report in seconds.
A Canada Post worker from the Gateway East plant in Mississauga who had COVID-19 has now died. The case count at this plant is now well over 200.
The Mayor's Executive Committee approves a unique pilot project that would see crisis workers respond to nonviolent mental health calls instead of police. It still has to be approved by City Council.
And you got the police chief saying, I would never send a crisis nurse into a crisis. Why would I do that for?
Raptors could be down 2 starters against the Bucks. Sports at 15.
Marcus Dark Knight Saunders.
Shares in the video game retailer closed at $347, and they're higher in the after-hours trade. Broader markets tank. The Dow gives up more than 600 points. Business at 26.
It's pump and dump. That's all it is.
680 News time 401.
Traffic and weather together, Carling Donahue.
This report is brought to you by Ahmadiyya Muslim Jamaat. So right now we have a few issues on the 401. We'll start with the westbound side. Approaching Avenue in the Express, a left lane is blocked with a collision. That's causing a delay from Leslie in the Express and from Bayview Collectors. So pretty slow between that stretch. But good news, as you continue west, we've got one issue that's just cleared. Approaching Mavis in the Express, all lanes reopened, but it's still causing a really heavy backup from the 410 in the Express. Definitely stick through the Collectors through that stretch.
The Pfizer wants Canada to officially amend the label for this vaccine, so it doesn't say 5 doses, it says 6 doses.
From the 427. However, it is moving lighter in the Collectors.
Something we were talking about before here. It seems there may be extra doses.
Bayview Express, Bayview to Leslie Collectors, and then in the Durham region, it's slow from Westie to east of Salem. It's also really slow in the eastbound 409 right now, just approaching Martin Grove to the 401 ramps. We have really heavy delays on the northbound DVP leaving the city due to earlier problems north of the Gardner to north of Bayview Bloor, absolutely jammed. Then you get a little tiny break and its volume picks back up north of Don Mills to north of Lawrence. Southbound on that route, it's slow approaching Shepherd and the Collectors down to the 401 ramps, and typical volume along the westbound Gardner from the DVP to west of Strawn. But the QEW is in great shape right now, as is the eastbound Gardner. On city streets, northbound Yonge at Arnold, which is just north of Major Mac, is partially blocked due to a collision. Traffic's having to use the southbound lane to get through, and that's causing a delay from Major Mac. Arguably the most influential man in history, Muhammad, the astonishing story of the Prophet. Live streamed on January 30th at 6 p.m. Register now at theprophet.ca.
Wow.
Your next report's at 4:11, and with a look at the forecast, good afternoon, Natasha Ramsahai.
Good afternoon, Carly. Lake effect flurries happening to the north right now. They're going to intensify, but sort of move to the west over the escarpment overnight tonight. I know Brandon to Mississauga, you're into some flurries as well. It'll be 3 to 8 centimeters for the snow belts, trace to a centimeter for the north GTA tonight as we drop to minus 11, wind chill minus 19, and then tomorrow another trace to a centimeter for Toronto. We'll get those lake effect flurries in the morning, a little bit of sun in the afternoon with a high of minus 6. Tonight down to low minus 11 degrees. It is now minus 4, wind chill minus 10 at Pearson.
680 News Time 4:03.
Canada Post employee at the Gateway East facility in Mississauga has died after contracting COVID. Canada Post confirming the employee last at work just last week.
680's Mark Douglas joins us live with the latest. Mark.
Legenda, one of the 200-plus Canada Post workers here at the Gateway East plant who was infected with COVID-19 has now died. The National Office for the Canadian Union of Postal Workers has sent out a statement saying that they were told this morning, and the official cause of death is still unknown, but they have a lot of questions. Their statement says the health and safety of our members is not negotiable. An earlier statement from the KPT Toronto local president identifies the worker who died as male and says his death is a senseless loss of life. Both statements emphasize the union's position that postal workers need to be designated as essential. A statement from Canada Post says this worker's last day at Gateway East was January 18th and that the agency continues to work with Peel Region Public Health. Now, Peel's Medical Officer of Health, Dr. Lawrence Lowe, says no, he cannot discuss the case of this worker's death, but yes, they are working with Canada Post along with other employers.
The province has given us rapid tests that we've deployed in settings such as the Canada Post outbreak, as well as certainly the ongoing workplace inspection blitz together with the Ministry of Labour to protect occupational health and safety. So we're firing all cylinders.
Now, Canada Post had said an updated tally on how many Gateway workers have COVID should be coming out sometime today, but we're still waiting on that one. Reporting live outside the Gateway plant in Mississauga, I'm Mark Douglas. This is 680 News. The province reporting another batch of fewer than 2,000 new cases of COVID today.
For the third day in a row, we are in the 1,000s. Ontario is reporting 1,670 new cases of COVID-19 based on almost 55,200 tests. It's one of the lowest daily increases in 2 months. There's also been a drop in hospitalizations. Like in Newmarket, the Premier saying this is what happens when people follow the rules and stay home. General Rick Hillier, who heads the province's vaccine task force, was also there and says after no new doses of the Pfizer vaccine this week, there's a big reduction next week.
20% next week from what we were expecting. That's a total of 26,000 doses of Pfizer we'll get. The week after that, we do not yet know what we will receive in Pfizer for the weeks following that.
So far, just over 305,000 doses of the 2 COVID-19 vaccines have been administered. I'm Irene Precklett. happening now. They're internet savvy, looking to turn the tables on Wall Street. A growing group of amateur day traders has been driving up the prices of some beaten down companies.
Amateur day traders. I thought that's what day traders. You said that's what day traders were.
Well, Janet, we've never seen an investing frenzy like this, and as of now, it's showing no signs of letting up. So, yeah, what's happening here? Amateur investors have gathered together in chat rooms, largely on Reddit, and they pinpointed stocks they think they can buy en masse with the hope of scoring fast profits. So far, it's working. GameStop, the money-losing U.S. video game chain, has been at the forefront of this. GameStop stock jumped 134% today to close at $347.23 U.S. It's up more than 1,000% from the beginning of the year. It's also continuing to rise in the extended trading session. Canada's BlackBerry getting caught up in this. It closed up 32% on Bay Street at $31.49. And the near bankrupt U.S. theater chain AMC saw a 300% jump to its stock today, closing at $19.88. Of course, all this with a lot of risk involved, and it's not clear where the dust is going to settle. Investors are nervous about what's happening, so much so that the Dow closed down more than 600 points today. Reporting live for True Southern 680 News.
This is All News Radio 680 News. We're in the middle of a second COVID-induced lockdown, yet it appears some Torontonians still not wearing a face mask where social distancing is not possible. 680's Phil Martino tells us the city's 311 line has received hundreds of calls about people not wearing face masks in apartments
when I say there's hundreds of people going to die because there's no air.
James, since the mask bylaw came into effect for apartments and condos last August, the city's 311 line has received close to 2,000 complaints about improper mask usage in shared residential spaces. Mayor John Tory says of those, over 260 locations have received 3 or more complaints.
Our rent safety team will be issuing education letters to the landlords and property managers for each of these locations on the requirements under the mask bylaw, reminding them of those requirements and asking them to take action to do a better job.
Tory says a dozen buildings received more than 10 complaints each. Those landlords and property managers will be visited in person and will be requested to present their mask policy. 75% of the complaints are related to residential apartment buildings, 25% to condominiums.
They're pretending they wrote the rule that the landlord is now law enforcement.
680 News for what you need to know on the coronavirus.
Plastic bag.
All stores must charge 5 cents for a bag. Okay, except that's a tax, and they didn't collect it as a tax, and the stores don't have the authority to collect the tax, and the city doesn't have the right to assign a new tax.
Come with Toyota Safety Sense. It's a suite of intelligent safety features that other companies charge extra for. Why would safety be extra?
Miller and David Briefly and Bill Blair and all these other idiots.
It's time to Toyota. Lease a 2020 Corolla LE for as low as $60 weekly at 1.69% APR for 60 months with $0 down. Ask your local Ontario Toyota dealer about contactless shopping or to book an appointment today.
Now, 680 News, gas price update and Pro predicts no change at midnight.
What does it feel like to play Lotto 649? Well, with an upcoming jackpot of an estimated $5 million, just having a ticket feels a lot like that moment between and so get that 649.
Pour demain, il y aura à Toronto encore 30% de probabilité d'averse de neige en matinée. Il va faire maximum -6. Mais le ressenti va faire mal, -19 en matinée. À Hamilton, une alternance de soleil et de nuages, maximum -8 avec un ressenti là aussi de -19. Pour Niagara Falls, London et Sarnia demain, il y aura un tout petit peu de neige jusqu'à 4 cm, à part pour Sarnia où normalement ça devrait être un peu plus calme. Pour ce qui est des températures, -5.
It doesn't surprise me because, as Judge Waller has pointed out in approving the settlement, she said that there weren't a lot of assets left, and that this was the recovery that was to be had. And I think her exact words were, the victims received minimal, if any, recovery otherwise. So these 50+ victims are in a position of having to take what I regard as a very bad deal or no deal at all.
And the attorneys that have been commenting on it, from what I understand, are saying, well, it's affected some semblance of closure at the very least. I mean, we can't speak for the victims, but that's the way it's perceived. Rather than forcing them to endure years of litigation for uncertain outcomes, Do you see that as,
It's a huge plus for the victims, obviously. Now, they're still going to, in one of the most crass elements of this process, the victims are going to appear before a claims examiner, and they will be in a confidential manner discussing what happened to them blow by blow, and certain points will be, provided to them for the severity of the crimes against them and for the duration of the abuse, and their portion of the settlement will be determined on that basis. I've been involved in that process with groups of plaintiffs before, and there's no good way to do it. There's no way to do it and not feel like you're putting a dollar figure on human suffering. It's the best we have, but I can't imagine that's going to be an easy job for someone to divide up this amount of money among that many people.
Again, with Ari Wilkenfeld, he's in Washington, D.C., partner at Wilkenfeld, Herendeen and Atkinson, and having represented women who have made allegations against high-profile individuals in the media, including Tom Brokaw and Matt Lauer. Now, this doesn't preclude them from seeking civil remedies or civil claims against Harvey Weinstein, but I mean, for all intents and purposes, he's broke. How do you draw blood from a stone?
That's what they keep saying. And I don't know who they are, and I'm sure they probably know better than me. But this was this man was the king of Hollywood for
suddenly reduced visibility at times. Sun through the afternoon at -6, and then another colder surge of air moving in Thursday night. So by Friday morning, that wind chill at -25. The afternoon, partly cloudy, still some flurries to the north, and a high of just -8. Tonight we're down to a low of -11 degrees. Right now it's -4, wind chill -10 at Pearson.
Now the Dynamic Funds Market Minute, Richie.
Oh, Jamie, broader market sell-off today. Dow falls 633 points to 30,303. The NASDAQ down 355 points. TSX down 354. Of course, it's the stories within that were the most fascinating. GameStop closing higher by 134% at $347 the share. BlackBerry surges 32% to $31.49. Earnings just in from Facebook. It's a revenue miss. The stock's down 3.8%, even as it announces a share buyback. Got the Canadian dollar lower right now at 78.04 cents US. This is 680 here.
When it comes to investing, it's time to consider the alternatives. Dynamic Funds sees diversification differently. Ask a financial advisor how and learn more at dynamic.ca/advice.
For a new garage door,
well, I won't talk about those cases, but
du travail à faire de la part des professionnels, une jeune femme en plus, c'est essentiel de pouvoir l'accompagner tout le long du chemin et lui apporter les bonnes informations. Donc, il y a du travail à faire de la part des professionnels, c'est clair. Il y a vraiment un besoin d'éducation, de l'éducation qui va profondément, qui prend le temps et qui n'est pas juste à chercher à vendre des produits. Donc, c'est là le coup de gueule, en fait. C'est là la sonnette d'alarme. Donc, on veut changer le système. On veut effectivement que les système financier se mobilise plus pour éduquer de façon adaptée, surtout. Mais je dirais que dans le court terme, c'est vraiment à nous de prendre les choses en main, d'aller chercher les bonnes informations et de poser beaucoup de questions. Parce que quand on investit, il y a des commissions qui sont versées à des personnes. Ces personnes-là, il faut, entre guillemets, qu'elles fassent leur travail pour mériter justement notre argent, en fait, et nous en rapporter plus.
To pursue anything in court without the law firm taking the risk. But when I say that, some people might be in better financial position than others, I mean, I'm imagining one of the victims being, independently wealthy and has the ability to pay an attorney by the hour to simply seek justice and not worry about what the recovery might be. And I hope there are a few of those out there, or I hope some women get funding from someone else to do that. Because I do think he should be made to stand up in court and be condemned by juries of his peers as often as we can.
I'm also curious about how several insurance carriers are paying out a total of $35.2 million to resolve all the remaining claims, including those from the Weinstein Company's trade creditors. How does that work, and why are the insurance carriers really on the hook here?
Yeah, well, this gets into an area where I am much less sure of what that all means. But essentially, there's insurance. We all know this is insurance for everything, and there's what's called employment liability insurance. If I have employment liability insurance and, I beat up one of my employees and they sue me, I'm likely going to be able to pay for a settlement with that employee through my insurance company. The insurance in question here appears to be a combination of insurance for money to be paid to victims, a second category, insurance to provide funds for legal fees for any officers of the company to have to defend themselves, and then an entirely different form of insurance, which I don't really have the expertise to speak on, but it would seem to be insurance in the event of a bankruptcy. The insurance company pays out to ordinary creditors. But I think what you're driving at.
And Wolves. Sports at 15 and 45 past every hour or anytime at sportsnet.ca/590.
Meeting up with a few friends and neighbors, getting together with colleagues after work, attending a friend's wedding, all seem harmless. But these are the types of things contributing to a significant spike in COVID-19 cases in Ontario. Community spread is making more and more people sick, threatening to overwhelm our hospitals and putting all of us at risk. Vaccines will help protect us, but until they're widely available, we all need to follow public health advice and guidelines. That means staying home except for essential reasons, like buying groceries. Stay home, stay safe, save lives. Paid for by the Government of Ontario.
Since the dawn of time, humans have been pursuing food. First in open plains and lush forests, and later in the crowded aisles of grocery stores. Today, that pursuit is over. With good food, you can get delicious, ready-to-cook meals like caramelized onion baked cheese tortellini delivered right to your home. Because some things are better left in the past. Good food, eating evolved. Visit makegoodfood.ca.
This is 680 News. Canada's received a commitment that our vaccine supplies from Europe are safe from any new export controls.
After days of concerns and fears that the European Union could restrict our vaccine shipments, Prime Minister Justin Trudeau told the House of Commons that he personally spoke with the President of the European Commission, and she assured him our deliveries would not be impacted by any new policies on exports.
We will be on track to fulfill all those responsibilities we laid out for Canadians.
Both our Pfizer and Moderna shots are produced in Europe, but opposition parties not convinced. NDP leader Jagmeet Singh says the recent Pfizer disruption shows the feds have no detailed plan to reach their goals.
Just a vague commitment to achieve a certain result does not give Canadians confidence. We need to see the roadmap.
The Prime Minister promises there will be enough doses to vaccinate every Canadian by September. Cormac McSweeney, Parliament Hill.
Now that the plane has been cleared to fly in Canada, Discount Airline is adding Boeing's MAX 737 to its fleet.
Discount carrier Flair Airlines, based in Edmonton, says it will lease 13 of the planes from one of its investors, 777 Partners, which owns 25% of Flair. Stephen Jones, Flair's president and chief executive officer, says the addition of the planes will allow the airline to keep fares low while expanding its capacity. Now, this announcement comes as Canadian Airlines cut dozens of routes and lay off staff in response to more severe lockdown restrictions. The MAX 737 had been grounded almost 2 years after 2 deadly crashes, but that grounding order was lifted on January 20th after changes were made. At the Business Center, I'm Chris McCusker.
Traffic and weather next. 680 News Time, 420.
Virtual by Nespresso. Redefining coffee. Savor a new morning ritual. Innovative technology means preparing your perfect cup of coffee has never been so simple. Allowing you to start your day in the most exceptional way. Virtual, your morning coffee redefined. Nespresso, what else?
COVID-19 has come at a cost for many small businesses, but financial support is available from the Government of Ontario. From grants of up to $20,000 for eligible small businesses, to support for purchasing PPE, to rebates for property tax and energy costs. We are working to ensure our small businesses can keep employing people and serving our communities now and when COVID-19 is behind us. Visit ontario.ca/COVID support to apply. Paid for by the Government of Ontario.
680 News Time, 421.
Traffic and weather together, Carling Donahue.
This report is brought to you by Friday Harbor.
On the eastbound 401 approaching the 400 in the Express, that collision finally cleared, but we still have really heavy delays from the 427 in the Express and Collectors, so just prepare to be stuck in some slowdown there. Then east of Yonge in the Express, we have a crash in the left lane. Tow trucks on scene that's blocking up traffic from east of the Allen in the Express to east of Yonge. Then the Collectors start to get busy east of Yonge out to Leslie, and we have a delay through Warden and the Collectors, and then again Salem through the Durham region. The eastbound 409, heavy still from Martin Grove to the 401 ramps. Westbound 401's shaping up a little bit. We still have a delay from an earlier issue, 404 Express and Leslie Collectors to Yonge, and then in the Mississauga area, it's slow from Huron-Ontario Express and Mavis Collectors to approaching Mississauga Road. Leaving the city on the northbound DVP, slow going Bloor to north of Lawrence, and if you're heading out on the westbound Gardner, it's jammed up from approaching Jarvis to west of Strawn. West QEW is slow from Ford Plan to Trafalgar and from Third Line to west of Guelph Line. Your eastbound QEW Gardner commute, that is moving up to speed. Get away to Friday Harbor and get back to the things you love. Enjoy winter safely from the comfort of 600 acres of nature. Friday Harbor, come for the day or a lifetime. Friday, I'm in love. And now with a look at the forecast, here's Natasha Ramsahide.
All right, bundle up, get out the parkas, and watch for reduced visibility to the north at times. That's pretty much for the next 2.5 days as lake effect snow starts streaming in or continues to stream in off of Georgian Bay. I know it's been happening through this afternoon. Tomorrow morning, we'll wake up to some of those flurries in Toronto, -11, wind chill -19, and then the afternoon we'll get into some sun, -6 the high, getting colder by Thursday night. So by Friday morning, it's going to feel like -25. And still some lake effect flurries to the north. Otherwise, Friday afternoon, partly cloudy and -8. Sunshine Saturday and -9. And the morning wind chills Friday, Saturday, and Sunday near -25. Overnight tonight down to a low of -11 degrees. Right now it's -4, wind chill -10 at Pearson.
Coming up at the bottom of the hour, trading places. GameStop shares surge another 100+% today in the so-called Reddit revenge nerd rally. And now these independent retail investors are collaborating in chat rooms to pump up other beaten down stocks, including BlackBerry, the latest straight ahead. More than 200 infected employees in that Mississauga, Canada Post facility. And now one worker has died. This is 680 News.
Get ready, Canada, because Air Miles is about to take winning to massive new heights. It's the Air Miles Massive Merchandise Giveaway. Now till February 3rd, you can enter for a chance to win the grand prize of an Air Miles Rewards Catalog shopping spree using up to 100,000 Air Miles Reward miles, or one of 10 regional prizes of a shopping spree using up to 50,000 miles. Every base mile you get with participating partners is a chance to win. No purchase necessary. Contest rules apply. For full details, visit airmiles.ca/massive giveaway.
The big story. I'm your host, Jordan Heath Rawlings. Do Canadians know enough about the COVID-19 vaccines? Listen at thebigstorypodcast.ca or wherever you get your podcasts.
This is All News Radio, 680 News. A new Republican congresswoman from Georgia is coming under fire for social media posts suggesting violence against the leader of the Speaker of the House.
The reports coming from CNN were before she was elected to office in 2019. Marjorie Taylor Greene recording a video suggesting that House Speaker Nancy Pelosi could be executed for treason. And another post from that same year allegedly liking a comment that suggested the quickest way to remove Pelosi is to put a bullet in her head. Now, Greene says that some of these posts do not reflect her views and that different people run her social media pages, but no apology.
That's ABC's Rachel Scott. Richie's next, 680 News Time, 425.
Hiring can be challenging, but ZipRecruiter makes it fast and easy. We talked to Monica Starks, who needed to hire for a pivotal role in her company, GS Group.
As the owner of a construction company, finding the right people is a very difficult task. So I use ZipRecruiter.
ZipRecruiter's powerful matching technology identifies the right people for your job and actively invites them to apply, which is why you should try ZipRecruiter for free at ZipRecruiter.ca/Canada. Monica did, and that's how she found Lamont, her new project superintendent.
The job is so perfect for me. I had a career breakthrough. I would have never found this job if it wasn't for ZipRecruiter.
With ZipRecruiter, we've hired everyone from accountants to project managers to field scientists. With ZipRecruiter, we get hiring results.
See why 4 out of 5 employers who post on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. ZipRecruiter, the smartest way to hire. And now you can try ZipRecruiter for free. That's right, free at ZipRecruiter.ca/Canada. That's ZipRecruiter.ca/Canada. ZipRecruiter.ca/Canada.
6 City News on 426.
Now 6 City Business Report and Richie, Wall Street, the talk of the town.
It's the retail, it's the little guy for once, though, James, right? Not the big guys on Wall Street. That's the story of the day. A retail investing frenzy like we've never seen before. Names like GameStop, AMC, Cannabis, BlackBerry, all held on to massive gains into the 4 o'clock close as amateur investors gathered in chat rooms to pinpoint stocks like these they think they can buy en masse with the hopes of scoring fast profits. So far, it worked. GameStop shares jumped another 134%, closing at $347 per share. The stock pretty flat here in the after-hours trade, down just $2 right now in the extended trade. AMC, the near-bankrupt U.S. movie theater chain, up 300% to $19.88. And on Bay Street, BlackBerry picking up 32% to $31.49. Of course, you know, many of these companies, they don't make any money. This has nothing to do with fundamentals. We're witnessing something completely different here. Bruce Campbell with Campbell Ian Ross Investment Management.
Everybody knows GameStop's not worth $25 billion. We're just having some fun trading here. And
is there anything wrong with that? Is that fundamentally something wrong with the market?
You know where it's going to change is when GameStop goes down from 350 to 100, and there's a whole bunch of guys that have lost a bunch of money. Then we'll see, how it plays out.
We don't know when that's going to happen. So the next question I have, people are watching at home, they want to know: should I take a little nibble at this? Should I get in on one of these stocks? What do you think?
As long as it's money that I would describe as play money. You go into it knowing you might lose most of it.
While this was happening, the broader market sold off. The Dow closing down 633 points, or 2%. The S&P down 2.5%. NASDAQ down 355. TSX fell 354 points. And an earnings deluge coming in here after the bell, with Facebook reporting a top and bottom line earnings beat, but talking about how online commerce might be slowing. We've seen just a flat trade for Facebook. Tesla, smaller than expected bottom line, but still a profitable quarter. Tesla stock is down 5% in the after-hours trade. Canadian dollar right now at 78.02 cents US. This is 680.
Need window inspiration? Then you need to speak to the experts. Hi, I'm Tom Okiki of Inline Fiberglass Windows and Doors. Our window experts are experienced in working with architects, builders, and homeowners to ensure your vision becomes a reality. So whether you're replacing your old windows or building your dream home, dream the dream with Inline Fiberglass. If you can dream it, we can build it. Visit our Factory Direct showroom, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, or inlinefiberglass.com.
If your head wants to plan for retirement, but your heart wants to enjoy life now, the Scotia Aria Retirement Program can help. No matter where you're starting from, we can create a unique path to help reach your vision of retirement. And as you grow, this flexible plan can grow with you, so you can enjoy what's important to you today as you get closer to your retirement goals tomorrow. Get started at scotiabank.com/aria and learn more about the Scotia Aria Retirement Program.
It's 4:30.
Toronto's #1 for breaking news, traffic, and weather. This is 680 News.
Good afternoon. This is Wednesday, the 27th of January. I'm Sljana Tominci.
And I'm James Monroe. Here's what you need to know right now.
The number of COVID-infected Canada Post workers at the Gateway plant is now well over 200, and one of those workers has now died. The union wants answers.
Ontario sees the lowest daily COVID-19 increase in 2 months. The Premier says that's what happens when people follow the rules. The city's 311 line has received hundreds of complaints about residents not wearing face masks in apartments and condos.
It's a busy first Mayor's Executive Committee meeting of the year. On the agenda, starting KPT earlier and a community crisis support service pilot project.
We will hear from Blue Jays President Mark Shapiro on what else we can expect during this busy offseason. And the Toronto Raptors open a new homestand tonight. Sports at 45.
North American benchmarks all lose at least 2% in a volatile session where the Reddit rally continued, while a Canadian airline announces a major winter service cut, business at 56.
Traffic and weather together on the ones airborne in Chopper 680. Good afternoon, Jordan Kurtz.
Good afternoon. That issue on the eastbound 401 east of Yonge, the Express seems to have cleared, but it's still backed up in the area. Eastbound 401 G from the Allen to east of Yonge, the Express, and from Yonge to Leslie and the Collectors, and the westbound 401
$5 plus tax. Detroit Metal City is a quickly rising independent death metal band. They garner fame by performing wild live shows and writing songs with hate, violence, and rape.
Southbound on that route, it's slow just approaching the 401 ramps. Westbound Gardner, we have volume DVP to west of Strawn and West QEW slow from the Ford plant to Trafalgar and from Bronte to west of Line. On city streets, the issues that northbound Yonge, north of Major Mac, they've cleared, so you're good to go. Your next report's at 4:41 with a look at the forecast. Natasha Ramsahine.
As the days go on, it's going to get colder and colder tonight, down to -11, wind chill -19. Lake effect flurries to the north. It'll be 3 to 8 centimeters for the snow belts and about a centimeter for the north of GTA. Those flurries continue in the morning. We'll get some sun mixed in there as well. Tomorrow's high -6. Tonight down to a low of -11 degrees. Right now it's -4, wind chill -10 at Pearson.
That's the 680 News.
It's the stock everyone is talking about. GameStop higher by more than 1,000% since the start of the year, being driven up by so-called retail investors. But other companies are also riding this massive wave, including a Canadian one.
680's Richard Southern joins us with the latest on the Reddit rally.
It's something we've never seen before on financial markets. Amateur investors gathering together in chat rooms, pinpointing stocks they think they can buy en masse with the hopes of scoring fast profits. And so far, it's worked. Investors have piled in to the money-losing video game chain out of the States called GameStop. And GameStop shares jumped another 134% today, closing at $347 US per share. This stock is up more than 1,000% since the beginning of the year. You could have bought it just 2 weeks ago for $19. BlackBerry getting caught up in this. Its stock jumping 32% on Bay Street today. So the near bankrupt U.S. movie theater chain AMC saw its stock jump 300%. It's buyer beware, though. There's a ton of risk with this type of trading. I'm Richard Southern.
This is 680 News. We are learning today that an employee at a Canada Post plant in Mississauga has died after contracting COVID-19. The facility has seen well over 200 workers test positive for the virus. 680's Mark Douglas joins us live from outside the Gateway East facility on Dixie Road with the latest. Mark.
Yeah, that's right, Slojana. This gigantic Canada Post sorting plant is already dealing with, in fact, 224 workers infected with COVID-19, and now one of those infected workers has died. Both the union and Canada Post putting out statements about all this. Canada Post says this worker was last here at Gateway East on January 18th, and the agency extends condolences to the family and is offering support to the man's co-workers. Now, a statement from the president of the Canadian Union of Postal Workers in the Toronto local says the loss of one member is one too many. The union also says this man's death underscores why they've been calling on governments to declare postal workers as essential workers. And yet another statement from the National Union head office says the official cause of death for this worker is still unknown, but they want some answers and they want changes to keep all their workers safe as they continue to do their job during this pandemic. Reporting live from the Gateway East plant in Mississauga, I'm Mark Douglas.
Well, the downward trend of new COVID cases continues in Ontario, running well under 2,000 for another day. Here's 680's Irene Precklett.
1,670 new cases of COVID-19 are being reported today. It's the smallest daily increase since November 26. It's based on more than 55,000 tests, bringing our positivity rate down to 4%. Premier Ford says this means less stress on hospitals and ICUs, and it will let us get back to normal.
Protocols and guidelines, and this is what happens when we all listen. Stay at home, follow the rules, numbers go down.
Ontario is seeing a drop in the 7-day average in cases. There has also been a decline in hospitalizations and a slight drop in people being treated in the ICU. I'm Irene Precklett. This is 680 News. Toronto's 311 line has been inundated with complaints about residents not wearing face masks in apartment and condominium buildings. 680's Phil Martino tells us the mayor says building owners and operators are required to have a mask policy in place to ensure face coverings are being worn in those common spaces. Phil.
Well, so John Tory says 311 data has revealed when it comes to condos and apartments, over 260 locations in the city have received 3 or more complaints about people not wearing a mask in the building. 12 locations, over 10 complaints each.
Our Rent Safe TO team will follow up directly and in person on these locations with the landlords and property managers for each of these 12 locations, requesting to see their masking policy and looking to see if the signage is in place as we require.
Since the mask bylaw came into effect for apartments and condos last August, the city has received close to 2,000 complaints about improper mask usage in shared residential spaces. Now, 75% of the complaints are related to residential buildings, apartment buildings, and 25% to condos. Again, the city says it will conduct additional education and enforcement of the mask bylaw in residential buildings. Phil Martino, 680 News.
We're hearing today Canada's COVID vaccine deliveries will not be held up by Europe. Prime Minister says he's received commitments that our shipments are safe.
For days, there have been growing fears that we could be facing further vaccine disruptions as a result of the European Union looking at new export controls for doses produced in Europe. But in the House of Commons, Prime Minister Justin Trudeau says he's spoken with the President of the European Commission, and she assures him our vaccine deliveries will not be impacted.
We continue to work with vaccine companies around the world to get those deliveries of vaccines to Canada.
Our only 2 approved vaccines are made in Europe, and Pfizer has currently reduced shipments due to plant upgrades, but the news is doing very little to satisfy the opposition. Conservative leader Aaron O'Toole claims the Prime Minister has bungled our vaccine procurement from the start.
Will he apologize to Canadians for dropping the ball on vaccine?
The NDP calling for a more detailed plan. Cormac McSweeney, Parliament Hill.
This is 680 News. A new pilot program that will see mental health workers handle crisis interventions before police get involved was passed today at the Mayor's Executive Committee meeting. Here's 680's Mohamed Qureshi.
The Mayor's Executive Committee is giving its approval to creating a new pilot project which will see crisis workers respond to non-violent mental health calls instead of police.
So I think there are very appropriate areas in which to begin a pilot that would see non-police resources respond to calls from people in crisis and hopefully achieve a better result.
Denise Campbell with the city says the pilot would start to roll out over 4 years beginning next year, taking place in 4 parts of the city.
If we invest well and take a measured approach to developing to full-scale implementation, we believe that we can develop something that is truly transformative for Torontonians.
But some deputies and councillors want to see if that process can be sped up. It still has to be.
So spending all your resources on trying to force building managers to enforce bylaws. You're never going to make that happen.
Have you heard about Ozempic? That's right. Ozempic comes in a pre-filled pack.
You're never going to make that happen. They tried that with the plastic bag fee. You're not going to make landlords responsible for enforcing bylaws on tenants. You fucking idiot. This idiot is... He's trying to copy Justin. I'm going to give the people what they want. Of course, he chooses who to listen to as to what they want.
Predicting the price will not change at midnight. We should stay just under $1.14 a liter. Traffic and weather together next.
If there's one vehicle made for winter in Canada, it's a Subaru. Whether it's rain, sleet, or snow, symmetrical all-wheel drive.
Full time. Parcel of that. Good move, even though it's cost. And this is where they're getting some blowback from governors in those states that are going to be impacted. Jobs, I think about 8,000, maybe full-time, high-paying jobs are going to be lost.
You see me call 311 and spend 20 minutes for the first call. I don't know why you're calling me.
I don't know.
I didn't call you.
As maybe not caring about certain jobs in the equation. Is that true?
Well, we talked about this last week, and this was a promise that Biden made. That was a flashpoint that helped him get the nomination. And you know, it's good when politicians say they'll do something, and then they actually do it. But that doesn't mean that those jobs can't be transitioned to other low-carbon economy jobs or other opportunities.
Low carbon,
there'll be huge investments in insulating people's homes so they don't use as much fossil fuel. There'll be investments in different ways of moving fossil fuels Because as we talked, you're going to need oil into the future to make rubber tires for your car, to make rubber parts and stuff. So it's not like we're going to completely get rid of the oil industry. But we're going to transition part of it into low carbon.
All that rubber stuff we use, not the fuel system, not the fuel hoses, not the belts, not the tires. Where the fuck are you getting petroleum through them?
And we're seeing
heading into some bright sunshine, then heavy delays.
You're going to need oil for this and that. What's that got to do with busting cars?
On the eastbound 401, delays from the 427 to east of Weston Expressing collectors. From Kiel to Bayview in the Express, a delay east of the Allen in the collectors, and approaching Young to Leslie in the collectors. And into Durham, eastbound 401 slows west to east of Salem. From the 650 traffic center, Carling Donahue.
Pretty much has got volume on the other major routes as well. It's slow on the northbound GVP, Bloor to north of Lawrence. Westbound Gardner leaving the city. Slow GVP to west of Strawn. Then we have a delay west QEW from the Ford plant to Trafalgar. And then it's slow going Burloak all the way to west of Guelph Line. Northbound 410, volume starting to build north of Steeles to north of Queen. Mr. Lube is open every day for safe stay-in-your-car services. From warranty-approved oil changes to tires, Mr. Lube, proudly Canadian since 1976. With the forecast, Natasha Ramsahide.
Lake effect flurries. The lake effect snow machine has been turned on. It's going to stay on for at least 2.5 days.
Déjà remplacé pas mal tout ce qui circule, par exemple, en Afrique du Sud, puis en Grande-Bretagne. Puis ici, on va voir avec.
This band of flurries is going to sort of wiggle to the west over the escarpment, back over Toronto through the middle of the day, and then over towards York Durham through the afternoon. Tomorrow's high -6, wind chill -13. Even colder air for Friday as we wake up to wind chills of -25. This is going to be the coldest air of this season, and partly cloudy. Still those flurries to the north with a high of -8. Tonight down to a low of -11 degrees. Right now it's -4, wind chill -10 at Pearson.
Now the dynamic funds market minute to the business center. Here's Richard Southern.
Legit GameStop up 134%, going out just above $347. AMC rockets up 300%. BlackBerry up 32%, just crossing the wires. It's a statement from the U.S. Securities and Exchange Commission, which says it is monitoring the, as it calls it, ongoing market volatility. The SEC says it's working with, quote, our fellow regulators to assess the situation.
It's a free market. You can do what you want.
Regulated entities, financial intermediaries, and other market participants. Take that how you will, but GameStop is holding on to gains in the extended trade. Apple in with earnings. It's a pretty big top and bottom line beat by one of the world's largest companies. $1.68 per share on Apple's bottom line. The stock is edging higher. Broader markets were in the red today. The Dow fell 633 points. The NASDAQ down more than 300, and the TSX down 354. That's your market minute. This is 680 News.
We're all rethinking risk these days. Your investments should be no exception. A financial advisor can help you build a resilient portfolio. Learn more at dynamic.ca/advice.
Want to earn PC Optimum points faster on fuel? Well, luckily, Points Days is coming, and we're putting more points everywhere, including at Esso and mobile stations. Beginning Thursday until Sunday, get an additional 30 points per liter, up to a maximum of 100 liters per fill when you fuel up your tank. Earn points faster exclusively at Esso and mobile stations. Offer and details available on the PC Optimum app from January 28th to 31st. Points Days. Fill her up with even more points at Esso and mobile stations.
If cancer were a place, nearly the entire population of Kitchener would be diagnosed every year. Right now, 1 Canadian hears it's cancer every.
People use this too.
C'est pour ça, mais il ne faut pas le voir comme une fatalité. Pour l'instant, ce variant-là, il n'est pas associé avec une maladie plus sévère, il est associé avec une transmission plus efficace. Évidemment, ça donne, surtout dans les cas où on fait moins attention, où on ne fait pas attention du tout, c'est sûr que ça donne une augmentation du nombre de cas. En ayant une augmentation du nombre de cas, même s'il n'est pas plus dangereux ou plus sévère ou associé à une maladie plus sévère, mais on voit une augmentation aussi de cas sévères. Mais juste parce que c'est les nombres qui augmentent, c'est pas la proportion du nombre de cas sévères qui augmente. Donc, encore, je pense pas qu'il faut voir comme une fatalité, une quantité plus faible du virus, et ça, on sait maintenant, c'est associé avec une maladie aussi plus légère.
C'était Gary Covenberg, qui est professeur au département de microbiologie, infectiologie et d'immunologie. Pourtant, je devrais pouvoir dire ce mot, immunologie, de l'Université Laval. Il était avec ma collègue Marjorie Apri. On écoute maintenant en musique. Je vous rappelle, l'équipe participe à la sélection musicale d'aujourd'hui. Sylviane a choisi pour nous cette...
City Sports.
Sylviane a choisi pour nous cette chanson de deux frères. Ça s'appelle À tous les vents.
Come in, the January blues can bring
all the sales. There's that wins. I don't want to hear two brothers singing. They just don't. They're not going to tell us anything that's actually important. They're going to tell us things that look important. Remember, weeks and weeks ago, hundreds of people at the mail place were sick.
CA. Across Canada, 35,000 people are homeless each night. Many don't have access to doctors or the health care they need.
You have a fucking house,
That's something we're helping to change.
You have a house, you might not need the doctor as
Brings
much.
medical and mental health care directly to those
Hey,
who need
Bill,
it
I
most.
brought the doctor. It's okay. I got this roof and walls around me, so nothing bad happens.
Across Canada, including here in the GTA. Learn more about our mobile hub.
Search for a full-time GM is underway. Just the two games in the NHL tonight. Sportsnet will have the Sens and Canucks at 8. Ottawa has lost 5 straight. Maple Leafs sitting pretty. They're 6.
On cherche pas le bonheur, c'est parce qu'on se dit tout le temps qu'on y est déjà. Et si la nuit tombe, le jour tombe, on tire de ton cœur qui bat. Peu importe l'arrivée, peu importe le chemin suivre, la l'amitié.
For eligible small businesses, to support for purchasing PPE, to rebates for property tax and energy costs. We are working to ensure our small businesses can keep employing people and serving our communities now and when COVID-19 is behind us. Visit ontario.ca/COVID support to apply. Paid for by the Government of Ontario.
At Toyota, safety isn't optional. That's why our vehicles come with Toyota Safety Sense Standard. It's a suite of intelligent safety features that other car companies charge extra for. That's like buying bubble wrap and paying extra for the air.
Other
in
car
the bubbles.
companies sell Toyota.
Release a 2020 Highlander LE all-wheel drive.
To be a COVID-19 hotspot, and public health may know why. Research conducted by Peel Public Health from August up until this month shows that close to 2,000 COVID-positive individuals in Peel region reported going to work while symptomatic. Mississauga Mayor Bonnie Crombie says almost 8,000 cases were studied.
1 in 4.
2,000
2 out of
people
8.
went into
Holy
work after
shit.
testing positive, knowing that they were carrying the virus. That is pretty compelling evidence and data. If people are forced to choose between losing a paycheck and putting food on the table, they're going to choose the paycheck. She says it's more evidence that the province needs paid sick days. The Biden administration
No,
in the
it's not
U.S.
as
is putting
evidence
the
that this
focus on
virus
science
fucks your
as
head up
it
'cause you're
outlines
sick.
its next steps in fighting the pandemic.
All
If
that'll
the
happen is
pandemic's
people will get sick
eased
on
off,
purpose. Like I got sick again, boss.
And
You're sick
repeatedly
twice a month, you
undermine
never
their
have to work
message.
again,
The Biden administration is starting briefings with just the experts. And the scientists will speak independently. Virus response team advisor Andy Slavin joined in a virtual news conference by new CDC chief Rochelle Walensky, whose agency is projecting a stunning death toll.
479,000 to 513,000 COVID-19 deaths will be reported by February 20th, 2021.
Up from 425,000 now. Dr. Anthony Fauci says there is reason to worry about the effect on existing vaccines from virus variants, particularly one from South Africa. But he says adjustments can be made. Sagar Megani, Washington.
In 60 seconds, traffic and weather together next. This is 680 News.
Are you having difficulty with reduced urinary flow and increased urinary frequency? Do you have a condition called BPH, benign prostatic hyperplasia? If you're frustrated with your medications but
rental opportunities for people.
Your car got indigestion, bro. How do I select what's going on here?
To get his shot, to get his vaccination illegitimately.
Well, yeah, that was the guy and his young bride. They decided to hop a plane. They
January 27, 2021.
flight that they pay for. And anyway, they end up in a native settlement right there, right by the Alaska border. And the locals in the community, there's only less than 100 people in that community. They're properly ticked off.
People that tested negative is 1.2 million.
And showing his white privilege at the same time. But to Swifty, let me ask, is Justin Trudeau not being serious enough on this file when we've still got flights coming in? Doug Ford was out at Pearson yesterday, and I guess, these are the political optics where he's got his own voluntary quick turnaround test program.
Positive, 143,745 deaths, 3,734
3,000. I guess passengers on flights since the start of January at a 2.5% positivity rate. Do the math, 750. I mean, how are these people coming through the cracks? This is not a serious concern of the Liberal government. I guess it's a federal government. They're not doing enough, are they?
No, they're not doing enough, and they haven't been right through this whole pandemic. It's funny, every little while, I guess it flares up as a public issue in the media and stuff, and then they announce, they're going to crack down, and then we find out, no, there was no crackdown. They talked a good game. Mind you, this government in Ottawa talks a good game all the time, and very rarely actually follows through, and we could cite a zillion examples of that. But, this time, it's pretty serious. If you don't balance the budget in a certain year, well, that's not great, but now we got people dropping dead, so the stakes are pretty high. And I agree with Foxy. We know people are. I saw some stuff on the Health Canada website that was talking about flights. That this is a government agency, for goodness sake. The federal government
715 steps.
How many people were infected on
0.714 kilometers. I don't know how you keep counting that wrong. 1 step per minute, 0.06 kilometers per hour. 35 calories burned. You're fucking serious.
When people come in, that isn't happening.
715 steps times 1 meter would be 0.7.
The super draconian measures where you herd people into, hotels or something or other is pretty extreme. But there's no follow-up, and we know planes are coming into Canada with infected people. And of course, the latest worry, or the last few weeks' big worry, is that these hyper-contagious strains are coming in now from a number of places, and that terrible situation up in the long-term care facility up in Barrie was one of those strains, which just went through the place like crazy. So I don't get it either. I don't get it. Why will they not protect Canadians against? Why don't they do the obvious things to do here? It defies belief.
Well, let me just pick up on that, too, because there's another issue as the spring gets further along and you've got to bring in temporary foreign workers, like in the agriculture business. Potsy, help me out here, because Ontario wants these foreign migrant workers to be vaccinated, but this is a federal program. So do they get to, say, jump the queue because they're essential workers in that regard?
Hey, buddy.
And then, just to give you a double barrel here, paid sick days are another issue where you've got essential workers and you need to make sure they maintain themselves in the workforce. And some of them do against, the better judgment because they don't get paid if they don't work. So the Canada Recovery Sickness Benefit is a federal program, but now it's being suggested by many, the NDP, the Liberals, that the province pick up the tab for that. So on those two fronts, how do you think we ought to go about things?
Well, on the paid sick days, the Liberal government, before Doug Ford and his crew came in, we had a number of paid sick days in there and a number of days that you could take off. You may not get paid, but you weren't going to get penalized for them. When people can't come to work because they're waiting for their test results and you don't want them to come to work and they suffer financially, that's a problem. And that's a problem of government making, and government should be paying for that. So
which government, though? Which government, Potsy?
Provincial government.
Which government? But it's a federal program.
No, it's a provincial program. That's what it was in Ontario. We had paid sick days as a provincial thing, and
right now it's a federal program. No, it's a Canada Recovery Sickness Benefit, $1 billion.
But that's a federal program for people who are off because they have COVID. We need sick days, temporary measures for people who are, for instance, waiting for their results. And that should be a provincial program. When people aren't feeling well, they don't want to risk their fellow employees, they should stay home. And that is a provincial program. That's under our labor standards in Ontario, and that needs to be enforced. But for migrant workers, the key here has to be that you protect those who are most vulnerable. And when we bring in migrant workers and we need them, A, they should be tested before they get here, so they're not bringing it with them. But B, once they're here and they're certified negative, they need to get vaccinated if they're in high-risk situations, living cheek to jowl in conditions so that they can get the harvest planted. I think from the US they become a higher priority than doctors and lawyers, accountants, and other people in the system because they're vulnerable. So I think that's the priority that they've got to bring in, because we do need those workers here.
All right, and Swifty, I'll give you the last word on that, including the recovery sickness benefit, $1 billion program for the kilometers, 0.36 kilometers per hour. I guess it may be too many impediments to do it, but do you think this ought to be a provincial program instead, paying for the sick days?
Well, business is doing so well right now, they're rolling in money. So I'm sure that this is not a problem for them. I got an idea. Why don't we dock all of the government workers who aren't really doing a whole heck of a lot right now, about 25% of their pay, and then we can allocate those dollars to paid sick days for those kinds of situations. These suggestions, I mean, listen,
we're going to tear down the system.
Nobody ever figures out how we're going to pay for them. And I don't care what level of government you talk about, we're all the same taxpayer. No matter what level it is, we're paying for it. So, I mean, I think how are you going to pay for such a thing? Because business is strapped horribly right now. And something else I might just note from my small business background is that even though sick days are not mandated by a government, by law, a lot of firms offer them anyway. A lot of firms, particularly small and medium-sized businesses. And so, you might find if you went out there that actually there's a lot more sick days being either paid for or, covered off one way or another than you might think, than having the heavy hand of government come down and mandate it. And I agree with Patsy on the migrant worker thing. I think they're a vulnerable population and we do need special treatment for them.
All right.
Sick days were mandated by the last Liberal government, and
they did it as a Hail Mary pass in a whole bunch of bad labor legislation.
It was there, it's gone now. And
as they're heading out the door, I get it. Hey, we're heading out the door. We get it. Thanks, Paul. Swifty. All right, Swifty and Potsy, we'll let you run along. As always, a pleasure. Talk again midweek next week. Catherine Swift, Arthur Potts on the Oakley Show. Global News Radio 640, Toronto, 3 before the top of the hour, and a news update. Let's get out to Tom right now at Tom's Place in Kensington Market. Hello, Tom.
John, thank you very kindly. When I went to school, to high school in 1972 to 1976, I went to Central Commerce, and all of our teachers that was teaching us wore suits, sport jackets, trousers. They had wonderful attire. They had a different meaning. When I saw my teachers like Mr. Guerrero or Mr. Voigt, they always had a shirt and a tie on. My marketing teacher said to me just recently that, Tom, you are a genius. You are a marketing genius. There's very few people that are like you that understand and know marketing. He loved my ads. He heard me on this station, he heard me on the radio, and he would phone and say, Tommy of all Tommies, you are spectacular. You were not the greatest student, but soon as you were given an opportunity, you made something out of yourself. Yes, I did, because the opportunity was there.
Création de la coopérative des artistes du Nouvel-Ontario à l'origine du groupe Piano.
Il n'y a pas de mode appareil.
Hot and cool fan or the Dyson humidifier. You'll enjoy how Dyson's innovative, powerful technology delivers whole room heating and cooling and the constant comfort of hygienic mist hydration, all with push-button ease. Get either or both on January 28th when they share the spotlight as today's showstopper. Shop tsc.ca, today's shopping choice.
In downtown of -10, 680 News, the CFTR AM Toronto. 680 News time, 5 o'clock.
Toronto's #1 for breaking news, traffic, and weather. This is 680 News. Good evening.
evening. It's Wednesday, January 27th. I'm James Monroe.
I'm Janet Timmons. Here are the top stories right now.
More than 200 COVID infections at the Canada Post plant in Mississauga, and now one of those workers has died. We have reaction from Canada Post and the union.
Since the mask bylaw came into effect last August, the City of Toronto's 311 line has received close to 2,000 complaints about improper mask usage in shared residential spaces like condos and apartments.
The Mayor's Executive Committee gives a thumbs up to creating a pilot project where crisis workers will respond to non-violent mental health calls instead of police. It still has to be approved by City Council. The Blue Jays introduced George Springer this morning, who was real excited about the young core. Raptors and Bucks go tonight from Tampa Bay. Sports 15.
The GameStop rally showing no signs of letting up. The stock closes higher by 134%. BlackBerry, or rather Apple, went with better than forecast earnings after the close. Business at 26.
I know, I tried them every couple months.
News Time 501.
Traffic and weather together on the ones brought to you by I-8 Private Wealth Airport. Shopper 680, Jordan Kerr.
No troubles reported on the 401, but heavy volume on the westbound 401. It's slow from the 400, expressing lectures to the 427. As you come around the bend, there's sun in your face, so that's slowing everyone down. And then delays from Huron Ontario Express Mavis collectors to approaching Mississauga Road. Similar story there. And East 401, heavy delays from the 427 to the 400, and east of 400 collectors, Keel Express to Leslie and into Durham. East 401 slows west to east of Salem. From the 680 Traffic Center, Carlin Donahue.
No active incidents on any of the other major routes as well. We just have delays. Northbound DVP slow from Bayview Boulevard to north of Lawrence. Southbound on that route, it's heavy from Finch down to the 401 ramps. If you're leaving the city on the westbound Gardner, still going right now, DVP to west of Strawn. Then once you jump on the west QEW, we've got it building up between Bronte and west of Guelph line. Northbound on the 410, it's heavy from north of Steeles to north of Queen. And if you're coming southbound on the 400, heads up for delays south of Shepherd down to the eastbound 401 ramp. IA Private Wealth is Canada's choice for professional trusted advice that's uniquely tailored for every stage of your financial journey. Visit iaprivatewealth.ca. With a look at the forecast, Natasha Ramsahai.
All right, thanks, Carly. We're looking at lake effect flurries to the north and minus 11. That's what we're waking up to in Toronto in the morning. Likely 3 to 8 centimeters for Shelburne, Orangeville northward. Otherwise, trace amounts through the North GTA and some flurries on and off through the morning tomorrow. The afternoon, some sun and a high of minus 6. Tonight, down to a low of minus 11 degrees. It is currently minus 4, wind chill minus 10 at Pearson.
680 News Time 503.
Canada Post employee at an infected Gateway East facility has died after contracting COVID.
Now the union has spoken with 680's Mark Douglas. He joins us live with the latest. Mark.
And Slojana, yes, I've just gotten off the phone with the Canadian Union of Postal Workers National President after one of their Canada Post workers here at the Gateway East plant in Mississauga who had caught COVID-19 has died. He was at least one of at least 224 workers from this gigantic facility reported so far by Canada Post to have COVID, and now the union really wants some answers here. Jan Simpson, national president, now calling for an investigation into the Gateway facility here that goes beyond what Peel Public Health is already doing.
We feel the Public Health Authority needs to be involved, as well as the UPW, the Canadian Postal Workers as well, because, there's an outbreak at Gateway currently going on. As we know, the pandemic keeps changing. We need to find out the root cause of the outbreaks there at Gateway, and we need to know what happened and how to fix it.
Simpson extending condolences on behalf of the union to the workers' family and all his friends and co-workers. Simpson says, yes, it was a male worker who died here, who worked here, but can make otherwise no identification of that person. Canada Post has said the worker's last day at the plant was January 18th. Simpson, however, says that this worker was an overnight worker and was likely still here in the building on the 19th. Now, a statement again from Canada Post was promising an updated tally sometime today regarding how many workers here at Gateway East have become infected with COVID-19. That new number has yet to come out. Reporting live from Gateway in Mississauga, I'm Mark Douglas.
So the province seeing some pretty encouraging numbers again today when it comes to new cases.
Ontario is reporting 1,670 new cases. We had similar totals more than 6 weeks ago, but You have to go back to the end of November for a smaller daily increase. Premier Ford says this is what happens when people listen, stay at home, and follow the rules.
Less stress on the hospitals, less stress on ICUs, less stress on everyone. And that allows us to start getting back to normal.
Ford making the comments while touring a vaccination site in Newmarket. The province is facing a supply shortage of the Pfizer vaccine after the company did not deliver any doses this week, with reduced deliveries in the coming weeks. As for more on today's numbers, there's been a drop in hospitalizations and ICU admissions. However, 49 additional deaths linked to the virus are being reported. I'm Irene Frecklett. We are in the middle of a second COVID-induced lockdown, yet it appears some Torontonians are still not wearing a face mask when social distancing is impossible. 6 Cities Phil Martino tells us the city's 311 line has received hundreds of calls about people not wearing any face coverings in apartment and condo buildings. Phil.
So, Jenna, Mayor John Tory says over 260 condos and apartments in the city have received 3 or more complaints about people not wearing a mask in the building. 12 locations have over 10 complaints each.
I want to reiterate that the bylaw approved by the City Council and recommended by the Medical Officer of Health and our city legal staff requires building owners or operators to have a policy to ensure masks or face coverings are worn by individuals in the enclosed common spaces.
Tory says letters will be issued to the landlords and property managers of each of these locations, reminding them about the requirements under the mask bylaw. The city will also follow up in person with the landlords and property managers of the 12 locations from where more than 10 complaints have been received to examine the masking policy, ensure signage is posted throughout the building, and conduct a follow-up inspection. Phil Martino, 680 News.
This just in, 680 News from California. TMZ is reporting that actress and comedian Cloris Leachman has died at the age of 94. She passed away of natural causes last night in California. Her breakthrough role was in the 70s on the Mary Tyler Moore Show. She played the landlady Phyllis, and she won 2 Emmys for that role, a Golden Globe as well for Best TV Actress for a spin-off called Phyllis. And she was known for 2 movies made around the same time. The Last Picture Show in 1971. She won an Oscar for Best Supporting Actress in 1974's Young Frankenstein. Cloris Leachman dead at the age of 94.
They say 6 City News, Canada has received a commitment that our vaccine supplies in Europe are safe from any new export controls.
The Prime Minister making the announcement during question period, saying earlier in the day he spoke with the Commissioner of the European Union by phone and received her personal assurances that Canada's vaccine deliveries of Pfizer and Moderna shots will not be affected by any EU export controls.
Canada is very much on track to continuing to receive doses of vaccines for Canadians. We are on track to getting more than 3 million Canadians vaccinated by the end of Q1.
With both our approved vaccines being produced in Europe, there have been growing fears that our supplies could face another disruption, with the EU talking about clamping down on exports. Meanwhile, the opposition is still skeptical of the Liberal vaccination plan, saying there's no detailed timeline and no proof the government will live up to its promises. Cormac McSweeney, Parliament Hill.
Meanwhile, Peel Region continues to be a COVID hotspot. Public health there may know why. 680's Madison Fitzpatrick joins us with the latest from the mayor. Madison.
Yeah, James, well, research conducted by Peel Public Health from last August up to this month shows that close to 2,000 COVID-positive individuals in Peel reported going to work while symptomatic. Mississauga Mayor Bonnie Crombie says almost 8,000 cases were studied.
80 of the 2,000 people went into work after testing positive, knowing that they were carrying the virus. That is pretty compelling evidence and data. If people are forced to choose between losing a paycheck and putting food on the table, they're going to choose the paycheck.
Overall, she says it's more evidence that the province needs paid sick days, and she feels sympathetic to the choices these workers have had to make. Reporting live, I'm Madison Fitzpatrick.
The sports and the news brought to you by Prudent Financial. We'll check gas next.
This is you've done that ad at the beginning.
Well, it's certainly been an interesting year. And if you're like me, maybe you've been drinking more than usual and you want to take a break.
Well, with DriveSub is easy, and you'll be supporting the Canadian Cancer Society. When you sign up at DriveSub.ca, you'll help fund groundbreaking research and support services for people affected by cancer. And you can reduce your own risk of cancer. Try stopping for a week or the whole month. Go as dry as you're willing to try this February. Sign up at DriveSub.ca. It's easier than you think.
Now, 680 News gas price update. No change at midnight.
In life, the most important question anyone could ever ask is, will you marry me?
Not. Are we alone in the universe?
Well,
Or how did the brain name itself?
Okay, point taken. The most important question anyone could ask when they're in love and want to be with that person forever is, will you marry me? Make sure it's a yes. With Spence Diamonds, Canada's engagement destination, with thousands of rings to choose from. Spence Diamonds, open for virtual appointments and curbside pickup.